Excuse me. So what'd you eat?
A Jersey Mike sandwich. But more importantly, you know how when you get to the end of like a book or a series and you're like, it's that sad moment where you have to say goodbye to it all,
Yeah.
right? But then sometimes you're like, oh, wait, maybe it's a popular enough series that it has fan fiction, so you can go and read a bunch of fan fiction on it, right? And so sometimes you'll read a bunch of couplings and you're going on. But then there's that sad moment again where you reach like the end of all the fan fiction you can possibly read, and it's time to say once again goodbye. I've kind of hit that stage, and now I'm kind of sad because I'm like, I really have hit the end of this fandom, and I kind of have to say goodbye. And yeah, I can come back and say hello again, but at the same time, it's like I have to say goodbye now and hope that maybe in the future I might come back and say hello, right?
Is this Motodaoshi?
Huh?
Is this
No,
Motodaoshi?
no, it's not Monodaoshi. It's a completely different one. Um, so, it's by the same author though. But yeah, I've kind of hit the end.
I'm like, it's not Motodaoshi, it's one of the other two.
Yeah. So I hit the end. It's not like one of the more popular ones. It's one of the least popular ones. So I kind of hit the end. I was like, oh, I'm sad. Now I gotta move on with my life.
And you've checked both fanfic.com and Archive of Our Own.
Dude, I even went to Tumblr. Oh my
Have you tried Wattpad?
God. So, oh man. No, but like, it's kind of one of those things where I was like, I've got to let it go and I've got to move on with my life.
It's time.
Yeah, really, really it is. It's like, it's time. I've got to move on because, I've got other things. There's other stories I want to read. There's like a woman, uh, some other stuff I want to read. On that note, roll intro.
I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Deanna. And we're
The Halfwit Sisters.
So welcome back. What are we doing for this episode? What did we do last episode? We decided not to do current events because at that time there had been a whole bunch of shootings.
No, last episode was the game.
Right. But yes, okay. The episode before that was we were supposed to do current events and we decided not to.
Yes.
Because there had been several shootings. A little boy had gotten arrested for like picking some flowers. Right. It was just like a whole bunch of like negative. So we decided to do review on like the Snyder Cut, Space Sweepers, which I'd finally figured out the name for. So we had like 2 review shows and then this. And then coming up soon is going to be the finishing of A Way Out.
Yes. So we have the episode that for us premieres on Friday, but for y'all premiered last week, which I'm editing right now. I feel like that's always the case. I'm always editing that video.
We're always editing something. There's something that we're doing. Like we're fixing something, adding something. Like, oh, there's a moment. I don't know if you can you can find it, but in the last the Snyder Cut review, right? You said pepperoni, and the text you put around my head just fit so perfectly. I was laughing. I had to pause because I was laughing so much, and then had to call over my roommates and was like, "No, watch this. Watch just this 5-minute section of just this."
You were so confused, and I could see it when it dawned on you what I said because your eyebrows just went, "What?"
Yeah. So we finished A Way Out, and now we're looking at our next series that we're gonna do. But we're gonna leave that we're not going to spoil it just yet. We'll probably talk about it again later afterwards. We do give a bit of a review of A Way Out once we finish playing it. So what are we talking about this time?
Today is project updates and random topics.
Okay. Great. Well, we do have a good project update, don't
Yes. We do.
All right. So let's jump right into our project update. I finished the script.
Yes.
And now we are going. So DJ found, we decided to do the paintball script.
Yes.
That's what we decided to do. I don't know if we want to like show the screen, share screen of like what we put together of the paintball script. But originally the paintball script was just going to be like a short little 1 minute thing.
Yeah.
2 minute thing of 2 videos for TikTok.
They were 2 TikTok scripts that ran into each other because it was the paintball episode and then the follow-up.
Right.
And full transparency, I'm sure, Rebecca, you realized it, totally took inspiration from Community and their paintball episodes.
Oh, yeah. Those are probably the best Community episodes.
I freaking love the paintball episodes. But like as we're going through it, I am currently...
Let me know if you see the screen.
Yes, sort of. There's a big black box around it. There we go. I'm currently looking for a location for it. Mm-hmm. And I want to not lock down the location, but at least have options for location by Friday.
Right.
That way, Saturday and Sunday, I can start reaching out to contacts and friends to be Parker and Skylar and help with whatever they can.
Yes. So, excuse me, DJ sent me this script, which wasn't bad. It was just like a bunch of our stuff pulled together, and then pulled some things. I made some changes to our dialogue.
Yeah.
And maybe some action sequences. Go.
In like the beginning and end, like I wasn't happy with them. I kind of just cobbled them together because I was like, we really need to have a beginning and an end to it. Mm-hmm. And I put Delta as very, very whiny at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then Becca went through and edited and wrote a better.
Right. So, wrote it better. So the idea is that this is a company outing, or this is a company building, a team building exercise for the company, and or the company being Sullivan, and the managers are kind of having a whole lot of fun just beating up on their employees with like heat-seeking paintballs, big like mortar round paint bombs, just like overall jacking with their employees the entire time with like this kind of almost out of reach goal of getting this food voucher at like the most expensive food place in the city, right? That's the whole idea of it. And everything seems to be stacked against them. So we have like the opening, which just kind of sets it up. This is a team building exercise. Then you have our three protagonists here having like telling you the woes of what they're going through right then and there. And then of course Belladonna coming out on top after like the scene cut of her 2 friends not making it out of a bomb. Bomb scene. And then ending it up. And like DJ said, she had the announcer, she had Delta, and Delta's not a bad character most of the time, but this time around, I didn't feel like Delta was the right person to, like, use. So I dropped Delta entirely and kept it with the announcer and pulled in some really, really cringy and cheesy kind of company lingo. Like, we're a family, we're always here together, we're here to support each other. It's stuff that makes you cringe and go, oh no, that's not the company you want to be at, kind of thing. But my favorite part of all of this is so one of the things we came up with, or one of the questions we always asked ourselves, is why would you work at a villain, at a villain company, right? And our thing was always, they've got to have some great health insurance, right? And henchwomen seem to always wear impractical footgear. So so I'll DJ's off writing for that. So one of our things we decided...
It just so happens that I'm not very far from it.
Yeah. So one of our lines here is like, how could she run around in her impractical footgear? And we thought it would be kind of funny that part of being part of this company, you would have to take classes in running in high heels in order to clear for their health insurance. So that's probably like my favorite line of all of this.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that we had mentioned as part of like one of the scripts that we had wanted to do for the TikTok series. And I don't think we ever did write one.
No, we kind of tried to start hinting at some, but just with the tone of the scripts that we were writing, it just never went in that direction.
Yeah. And so being able to like plug it in on this one, and it I think it fit really, really well.
Did I stop sharing my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm excited for that. I'm going to start reaching out to people here soon. As I'm looking at my list of people that I want to reach out to, I think I'm changing my top choice.
Well, it's funny because we were also talking about like how we picture both Skylar and Parker. Parker is a non-binary character, and Skylar, I always see her as this rough and tumble kind of lady.
Yeah.
And we were talking about masculine and feminine roles.
Yeah.
Right. And so in that scene, Skylar and Parker are running in opposite directions, and then Skylar kind of pulls Parker over, and I see her kind of like, you know the very famous like hand slap scenes, right? I always see Skylar doing that and Parker being kind of meek, kind of like in the feminine role of it, yeah. Right? So, but you said you see them opposite.
I see them. So I see Skylar.
You skipped on mine.
So it's funny because I do see Skylar as the more assertive, but I see Parker as a more masculine character, which I think is mostly because I like flipping the script. And I always want to see that where it's the more feminine character who's more assertive.
Okay.
So, well, I do see Skylar as the more feminine character because originally we didn't have genders for either of them, and we very clearly put Parker as non-binary in our script. I think this one we shed away from that a little bit, not because we don't want to do that in our scripts, but just because of who I have access to.
Right.
But Parker being a male actor. So.
Right. So it's gonna be interesting to see like how you guys act it all out and pull it together. I'm not gonna be there for most of it, and the only thing that I can send your guys' way is the background of the characters for them to like work through.
Yeah, which I will definitely need. I know you have Skylar and Belladonna.
There's lag on my end.
You keep like your thing keeps like pausing. Hello?
Hello.
Are you there?
Yeah, there's some like really bad lag, like way bad than usually is.
Yeah, your side is pretty stop and go. Is that how it is on my side?
Yeah.
For me?
Yeah. Worse than it usually is. We're not normally this bad.
I don't have anything else running on my computer.
Neither do I. Except for internet. Well, everybody's home on my end. Everybody's home and it's afternoon, so there's not really much I can do if they're pulling a lot of internet, a lot of bandwidth.
Yeah. We are filming. It's always hard to tell because I live in a basement. We are filming later than we normally do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
We normally film like right after you get off of school.
Yeah. Today I needed to go to the gym after school because it's the only time this week that I'll be able to go to the gym.
Yeah.
So I really needed to go to the gym this week. So that's why we started a little later today than we normally did.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, so that's what we have for our script so far.
Oh, that's what I wanted to show you. I was looking at this place. Give me a sec to pull it up and then I'll show the screen.
And so I have to finish off because I finished Skylar and Belladonna's background. So all I have to finish is Parker's background so that you have something to give to the actors when they're ready to go. Parker is going to be a little bit harder for me because I've never really thought much of like a non-binary character or really actually delved into like Parker besides Parker being Skylar's love interest. And that was it. That was as far as we got in the development of Parker.
Yeah. We know Parker is
non-binary and Skylar's love interest. That was it.
Yeah. And we also know Parker's part of the maintenance crew.
Maintenance crew, and it gets brought into Belladonna's own corporation when she starts it as the chief of operations, I think.
Yeah. So this is what I wanted to show you real quick. Can you see that?
I have black. Oh, yes.
This is one of the spaces that I was looking at. It's a bit far out from the city, which means I would have to rent a car to get all the crew out, rent a van and be like, all right, guys, pile in. We're going for a car ride.
Mm-hmm.
But
so originally when we were writing the script, we were thinking like typical paintball course.
Yes.
But then you and your boyfriend were talking about it and we're thinking it more along like
in the office
space. Yeah.
And I would love to still do it on a paintball field. I'm waiting to hear back. I did get a reply that they are looking into it. But I emailed the city about a vacant lot out in Queens near College Point. Mm-hmm. to see if I would be allowed to use that legally. That way we could go and film all day and not get chased off by cops.
Mm-hmm.
Because don't want to deal with that. So I'm waiting to hear back from them. Fingers crossed by the end of the week, maybe they'll have some kind of news for me. It might be next week or it might be next month, knowing the city sometimes. But if I can't get the vacant lot and I can't get this alley that's near the house that I live in a shape where we can do the tight shots and make it feel like a paintball field, the next option would be in like an office. And then you mentioned Nerf guns.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, those are so easy to get.
Yeah. Because I was thinking Sullivan would totally be like one of those cubicle or like retro, or not retro, but like them open space, open
workspaces.
space. Yeah, like they're always trying to stay in like the forefront of office culture, and so it would be like where the cubicles or like the open space office plans.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, but I can also see them totally during like the paintball just to, like screw over the employees because they know they have to clean them afterwards.
Yeah. So I was thinking they'll still be paintballs, but they'll be Nerf paintballs, which will be easier to work with, and particularly film with, and then faking the paint splatter on if we're actually inside anywhere, because I'm not dealing with that cleanup.
Yeah.
But at least then we have like a physical object that we can use as like the heat-seeking bullet chasing them. Probably Parker, because that scene that you had in mind, I was like, oh, we can definitely use like things. And have Parker be chased by the paintball. So slowly trying to figure that out. I was a little bit in a panic because of the stress of just trying to find a location yesterday. We'll admit that. Because there is a lot that goes into production, and I know I can ask for help, but I have a hard time doing so. And especially have a hard time knowing what to ask for. So I'm struggling with all of that right now, but I'm still super excited. Now that I also have that option of, if I can't get outside, I could do inside. And now I can reach out to people.
Stop. I don't know if you guys heard, but Jigsaw walked in, meowed at me, and now she's nipping at me. Always. It's not an episode until I have one of the cats in here fucking with me.
So, but I have people to reach out to now. I have a list of 3 females that I can list out, that I can contact, that I think might be able to help, and then 2 males for actors. And then I know Neil will help. And then there are 4 other guys that I can reach out to for production. So we're moving ahead.
Yeah, we're getting there. So, all right.
We're moving ahead. It's going to be happening. Oh. My plan is to get everything and start filming by the beginning of May.
Okay. This is why I did not... This is why I did not push to make a second thing, because I was like, if we're having problems just with doing one, we might have problems just trying to do too.
Yeah, which totally, yes, and all of that. I was hoping like the second one we did would be more like a 1-2 person scene that's like clearly not very hard to do, of like one location.
Yeah, but I was like, just the stress of you trying to get just one video done. I'm like, let's just let you do this, see where we go, and if we have time to do a second one, then we'll do a second one. But if we don't, then we're not going to push it.
Yeah.
So focus on one, and then maybe we have enough time to tackle another one.
Yeah. So that's where we are on that. I'm excited and nervous, and knowing I have to reach out to people is.
I know. I know. I get you. I'm right there. All right, so let's move on. Let's go to random topic time.
Yes.
What random topic would you like to start off with?
Yes. I've got nothing right in this second.
Okay, so we finished playing with a friend of ours, Remnants of Ash.
Yes. That last battle. Can we just talk about that last battle for a sec?
So, for those of you that don't know, Remnants of Ash is this RPG kind of Souls-esque game where it's not a first-person shooter. It's a third-person shooter. Where is it first person?
No, it's third.
Dude. Okay. So I was like, I completely forgotten what camera angle you are in. But you're essentially, the idea is that the Earth is kind of being overtaken by what's called the Root. And there are these alternate dimensions that are kind of colliding with our own. And you, as kind of a hunter, are tasked with going through each of these alternate dimensions and fighting kind of like these bigger boss. It's kind of like a boss rush. So you're fighting through these alternate dimensions and fighting these bosses. We've been playing this game for what? Almost like a year and a half?
Yeah, because we played it a lot at one point. Mm-hmm. And then we started playing Sea of Thieves again, and we did Division and Destiny 2. So we had
so maybe a year. It took us about a year. Yeah.
And then the boyfriend discovered it free on the PlayStation because we play on the Xbox. Uh-huh. And so he started playing it, and that reminded me that I had still yet to finish it.
Yeah. It's actually not too long of a game. There's about 4 worlds that you play through. The hardest part of it is the fact that it's a boss game. It's mostly boss games, boss fighters. Yeah. And each boss is incredibly difficult, and the difficulty is ramped up depending on how many players you have with you. So we always play in a group of 3, so each boss is triple hard for us. Meaning, like, we sometimes take more than let's just say on one boss we spent about 2.5 hours just between the 3, like you and me and a friend of ours. We just spent like 3 hours trying to take out this moth boss that we just could not beat for whatever reason. Like, no matter what we were doing, whatever strategy we came up with, we were just getting our asses handed to us.
And then to find out one of the items that I had on me increased damage to me, which is why I kept dying.
Yeah. So it's not too long of a game, but the bosses make it really difficult, and some of the dungeons can get a little hard. Like, there's one dungeon that you play through where you're constantly taking damage.
Yeah.
Which was like, you're just like, oh, come on, because you're constantly taking damage, and then you're taking damage from the other people, and it's like twice the damage.
There's so many times where like I irradiated you, or Fry gave us frostbite.
Yeah. this friendly fire. So we get to the end. So you go through this whole thing and you get to the end, and you fight the Dreamer in this alternate space. And the first part of it is like you're fighting them in this virtual helmet, and it's kind of got like this Doc Ock thing going on. It's not too hard to fight. You're able to just kind of take it out, no problem. But then the second part of the fight, where its second form happens, is like you're fighting this big giant moth or butterfly creature, and it'll send you into like an alternate space where you're constantly taking damage and then fighting like these big giant root axe throwing monsters while you're taking damage. But that's also the only place you can get ammo. So you're constantly taking damage and then trying to fight these things that hit you really hard with like 2 axes and can kill you while constantly taking damage trying to get ammo. So then it becomes pointless.
Yeah.
And
you quickly learn that it's just best to get out of that void space and go back to fighting the moth.
Yeah, so then you go to fight the moth, but then you realize you can only hit the moth for a certain amount of damage at certain particular time. In other words, you're doing like 2 points of damage on it when it's not like open to allow you to do damage. You get super frustrated. So the 3 of us are like, how do we get ammo when you can't stay in that space for too long because you die from constantly taking damage? And then we remember, oh yeah, you pick up these ammo packs and you're able to use these ammo packs, but DJ didn't have enough.
I had 5. And I realized I had 5 before they realized that, oh yeah, we have ammo packs. So I had 5 and I was using them. And we failed the first time we went into play this guy, and then so we still hadn't realized we needed ammo packs. And on the second time, that's when we started realizing we got him like halfway down, and I'm out of ammo. You guys discover that, oh yeah, we have all of these ammo packs, which you can't trade with each other.
Yeah, you can't. You can't like give health items or anything. You're just kind of like screwed.
There. And so I, for 20 minutes, just stood there. They're running around, firing. We're going into the void space. I'm just darting out. And I just stand there. Like, I put my controller down. I've got nothing to do.
That entire time, she could have found, like, strategies for beating this boss quicker or something. She's just watching us, cheering us on.
They don't realize I'm just standing there either. It wasn't until after I died that you're like, that I told you that I had literally just been standing there.
We like, and you just, it's just like little bits of the health going off, and it's so frustrating. We beat the guy, obviously, and we finish off the entire game. But it was that final boss fight was really freaking frustrating. Like, we fought some really frustrating bosses in the entire game. Like, there's some really frustrating ones to fight. But that last one was super just like you just wanted to walk away and say, I ain't finishing this game. Screw that.
Yeah.
I think throughout that entire game, I only played with 2 guns. My original shotgun, right? I was playing like the heavy. I was playing the heavy character. I used the same shotgun. I didn't ever leave that. I might have changed it out once or twice just to try other guns, but I didn't ever leave the shotgun because I could take anything out, like any of the ads out with 1 or 2 shots.
Yeah.
1 or 2 shots. And then it would become my boss weapon. Like, I'd just walk up to a boss and hit it for like 500 or 600 if I hit the right spot. And I was like, why would I change out my gun? Like, there was no real incentive for me to change out that gun. And then I got the Spitfire. And you could hit it, you could spew out fire or, just my machine gun. I was like, why would I change out either of these guns? So there was no real incentive for me to change out my guns.
I switched between 3 guns. The submachine gun that I usually used, always had that on. Then I would either have the beam rifle that would just shoot out a beam of radiation. which was always fun when you guys crossed the stream. You're like, I'm taking radiation damage. Not my fault. It's a giant beam you walked into.
Yeah.
And then every once in a while, I would get my sniper rifle because I would like to be far back and just snipe until the ads just started running at me and trying to kill me, in which case, hopefully I had enough machine gun left, ammo left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I slayed between those, and I rarely used my melee weapon.
Yeah, there wasn't really a great incentive to use your melee weapon.
Yeah.
Really. And even in melees, like, there wasn't... Sometimes you'd have to kill, like, every boss, not every boss, but a lot of bosses had alternate kills where you could get different weapons off of them. And we got, like, a few melee weapons. There were a few melee weapons we could get. And the one, like, I stuck with my hammer. Again, I stuck with, like, a lot of my main, whatever weapons I first loaded in with when I first started the game, I stuck with those. Yeah. It wasn't, like, a great reason to change out. Overall, and so, like, the story on Remnants of Ash is also pretty light. You're going through this world to find the founder, I think is what it says. And you find him in prison. I forget why. I checked out of this story super hard at some point because I didn't find it super interesting.
I liked it as just like a kind of like an add-on to the journey.
A good flavoring, is that what? Yeah.
But like, yeah, it was not something that I was just like, oh, I really want to know the next part of the story. It was more of, oh, that's cool.
I think part of my problem is that a lot of the story had to be told through text that you found throughout the world, right? There's a lot of notebooks that you ended up finding, and you can go back and read those notebooks. Like, they weren't saved in any space you could go back and read later on. Like, you had to read it then and there.
Which wasn't always the easiest thing to do.
Right, not when you had like 10, 20 ads coming at you from fucking nowhere. Like, oh, let me stop and just read what Jeremiah had to say. Like, that wasn't gonna happen. And like some of the bad guys were super repetitive. Some of the moves were really repetitive. Overall, though, it was an enjoyable experience when you were playing with 3 people. When you were playing as a full team, because you could, like you said, when you got in each other's way, like, there was like several times where I got your radiation and frostbite from our friend, and I'm just like, I got wrecked by you guys harder than I got wrecked by everybody else.
And there were many times when we were waiting for you to finish upgrading your weapons where our friend and I were just shooting at each other.
Yeah.
Because there's friendly fire for your guns, not so much for the melee weapon, but for any of your guns, there's friendly fire. So we would just sit there and like shoot at each other, which is amusing and fun. Yeah.
So overall, if we had to say Remnants of Ash for like a great multiplayer game, I would give it a full wit.
Yeah. If you're playing it by yourself,
probably half.
Yeah.
Half. It's not as fun.
Or 2 that you can play with. Mm-hmm. It is a full wit game. Definitely enjoyed it. And it is a fun game. Definitely recommend it.
If I had to get rated on its story, though, I would probably give it a quarter wit. Just because, like, you stopped the full momentum of the game when you were delivering the story through text only, right? And you didn't allow them to take the text with them to the next spot or give them a time and place where they could choose to read the text when they wanted, right? If I have to stop in the middle of a fight or stop in the middle of a world to read your notebook, it's not enjoyable for me, right? Like, in the times where we were in Ward 13, which is the safe zone, the time that we were in Ward 13 and I'm waiting for you or a friend to do the upgrades, which can take a while, right, or make any decisions that you needed, I could have been reading some of the text.
Yeah.
Right. That's when I could have like been like, oh, hey, let me go read the stuff about the world that I didn't have time to read while I was being slaughtered by 20 people, you know? Like, let me go
one
do
thing
that.
I did like about when they did do the story is when we had the dialogue with the people.
Right.
Because there were options that you could pick.
That were actually kind of funny. Yeah.
Yeah. So I loved when you could do that because it on top of the game always kind of shifting slightly. Like we had bosses that our friend never fought before.
Mm-hmm.
So there are different bosses that you can get, which is really cool. But also that means like the way I progress through the story feels a little different because of the choices that I chose in my dialogue.
Yeah. 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 So, okay. What else? What else do we got?
Can we just talk about Zemo for a second?
Zemo from the last. Okay, so switching over to Winter Soldier and Falcon.
Yes, from episode 3. I'm dying. TikTok is going crazy with like the Zemo love. Because one, the actor's doing a great job portraying him, but it's like you have.
First, well, let's first look at Zemo. When we were first introduced to Zemo, he was the bad guy.
Yes.
Right?
He was a villain. A bad guy. He's not
a good guy. But like when we first were introduced, he was very clearly the antagonist.
Yes.
Right? We were meant to hate him. Right? And he knew all the secrets of the Avengers and the Winter Soldiers and the Super Soldiers, and he had, like they said, he killed King T'Challa and everything, and he set the Avengers against each other, right? So we had a clear reason to hate him. Now, Marvel has done a great job in making us really like this guy that we wanted to hate.
They did, and it's. I wish I could find. I remembered where that TikTok was, but there's a TikTok that I saw that was talking about how Bucky and Sam are not wanting to get into the car with the new Cap and his partner.
Yeah. Battlestar.
Yeah. But then Zemo, and this is how they worded it, Daddy Zemo comes up in his car, and they're like, okay. And it's like, why do I trust Zemo, the antagonist from a previous movie, more than you trust this person who's supposed to be the new Cap? And it's, well, the villain you know.
I was just about to say that. I was like, they know who this guy is.
They know his motives. He's always been very transparent about his motives.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. It's like this guy, they don't know any, like the John Walker, they don't know anything about him. Okay, let's keep talking about Zemo, but then I want to take a moment to talk about John Walker and what's happening to the actor.
Yes, which is another conversation because it does not just only happen to him. It happened to the kid in Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, the kid who played Anakin, and the guy who did the voice of Jar Jar Binks.
Yes.
Yeah, so like we'll talk about that in a second. But Zemo is the way that they made you fall in love with him is just so great. Why? Why did it work? Why did it work? Because they set him against Winter Soldier in such a lovable way, right?
Yeah.
The list of things that Sam gave to Captain America when he first was coming back, right? Like that was such an ingenious way. And what did it set? It set familiarity and gave him a point of connection. And that's what made that is what brought them together. And
the whole bar scene when like Zemo's like staying in character and he's just having fun with him. Isn't that right, Winter Soldier?
It's just, because he's like, they're all like long suffering through that. And he's like, he knows, yeah, your favorite drink, Tiger.
So you can just see their annoyance And his just kind of pleasure on like, yeah, this is fun. So, and also the whole hypothetically, if he did this and this happened and Zemo got out. They've set the relationship between the three of them very well.
When did he get the book in there is what I want to know. How long has that book been there with the card? Like, like when did that all get there?
He's the Winter Soldier.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
But
Baby girl, stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
But so that's Zemo. I'm really loving Zemo. I'm loving Winter Soldier, Falco and the Winter Soldier. I'm really excited to see where they keep going with this over the next few weeks. But let's switch to what's happening to
the Red Skull.
Huh?
Did they do a callback to the Red Skull with his mask?
No, that's always been Zemo's mask.
Okay,
in the comics, that's Baron Zemo's mask.
Okay.
I did find out something I didn't know through TikTok. Baron Zemo in the comics runs something similar to Suicide Squad in DC, where he leads a team of villains who are forced to do good.
I kind of like. Okay, there's the last thing I'll say about this, and then we'll move on. I kind of like where they're walking up to his plane, and he's like, "I've always been rich."
I'm a baron.
Sam, I've always been rich. Like, duh. Like, how would he have been able to do any of the shit that he did in the Avenger movie if he wasn't rich? Like, hello.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And then it makes you realize, he was probably still running shit from his goddamn cell.
Yeah.
Like, hello.
Yeah. So, but that's Zemo. I'm really liking it, and I look forward to more of his performance.
Yes.
But
all right.
Speaking of performance, what's happening to Wyatt Russell?
I am so upset. It's like I like that laughter is more like an angry laughter.
Yeah.
Because it's bullshit. Like, people need to understand that people need to separate the art from the person.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can do it. How can you do it with obvious singers who have bad pasts? Right? How can you do that shit with singers that beat women and shit, but then you can't turn around and do it with like guys who are all they're doing is playing a villain, or not even like a
role.
A role on a show. Like, what the hell?
They want to be able to separate it only when they feel like it. Oh, we can still enjoy this because we're separating the art from the person. But then you get an actor who's doing very well at their job, and then you send them death threats for doing so well because you hate them.
So it got so bad, by the way. So what happened is it got so bad that he was being bullied so bad online that he had to shut down his Instagram account. That's all that I know. I don't know what else he had to shut down. I just know that he got bullied so bad that he had to shut down his Instagram account.
Yeah. And this is not the only actor who this has happened to. What is her name? The Asian chick in Star Wars.
Which Star Wars?
The sequel.
Anything up? I don't want our stuff to slow down.
Let me see. Kelly Marie Tran.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She was also racially and abused and harassed, that she deleted her social media. Just like the kid from
Game of Thrones. Yeah, that dude.
Game of Thrones quit acting. He quit acting entirely after Game of Thrones.
Right.
Because the love of it was gone. He was so hated. He did his job so well that people hated him. One, he's a kid. Back the fuck off. And back the fuck off any actor for playing a role. Just because you don't like them.
Like the guy who played, who did the voice for Jar Jar Binks, like he came out, he was like, I was contemplating suicide because of how much shit he was getting. Right? Like, they were given a job. They did their job really well.
Hate the character. Don't push your hate onto the actor.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. There's other reasons to dislike actors than the roles they're playing.
Tons of other reasons.
At least have a decency to hate them for something else than what they're playing.
Having them have the decency to hate them for something they actually did, as like in their personal life, not for something that they did on screen as part of a job.
Right. So going back to this, we actually haven't talked about, like, how do you feel about John Walker, like the new Captain America? We actually haven't talked about that. We're 3 episodes in, and now we've kind of gotten a look at who his Captain America is so far. Like, in this episode, we had him go, like, when they get to Germany, and we had him actually yell, "Do you know who I am?" Right? This is him saying, I am Captain America. Do you realize that?
Yeah, and he was like this close to beating up that guy if Lamar hadn't stepped in.
Yeah.
And it was just like, look, I didn't like him from the beginning because he's taking on a beloved role. Then that second episode, they gave you his backstory and, you know, tried to make him like, hey, this guy's cool. He's really stepped up. And then there's just like certain small things he does that's just like, he's not, there's a reason Steve was Captain America and so beloved as a character. Yes, we have the history of him, but also Bucky said it. Would you throw yourself on a grenade? He goes, yeah, I have 4 times. It's this thing I do with my helmet. That's not what Bucky meant. Oh, shoot. I actually got to go let Neil in. Hold on. I like ignored his call, and I'm like, oh, wait. He doesn't have keys.
Quick, go. Pause. I'll entertain.
You talk about John Walker.
So one of the interesting things about John Walker that a lot of people are pointing out is how he more is in line with some of the things of Tony Stark, in that Tony Stark seemed to always have a way out, right? There's always a plan, always like a line that he can cut. And a lot of that parallel is also drawn to the way that they introduced him with the big fanfare and all of that, right? So maybe this Captain America is less of the Steve Rogers Captain America and more of a Captain America that resembles a Iron Man.
Keep going.
So, did you get to him in time?
Yes. We're okay.
So what I was saying is that this Captain America is less of a Steve Rogers and more of an Iron Man.
Yeah.
Like early Iron Man. And that he always, and like Bucky, and like Steve Rogers had said to Iron Man in the past, like, there's always a way out. Remember, jumping, using his helmet as a way to, like, stop the explosion.
Yeah.
And we can see that in the fanfare that was used to introduce this Captain America. Very much a big fanfare that Tony Stark would have used to introduce himself back in the day.
Yeah. There was also something that a lot of Black creators on TikTok are pointing out. he is very much stepping on the toes of anything that came before him to boost himself up, to make himself seem more likable. So, like, that big fanfare of a historically black college's drumline, there are a lot of racial undertones and not even just undertones, just tones in this entire series. And John Walker is just kind of planted right on top of them of going, I'm Captain America.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to touch the racial undertones because that's a completely different conversation. So I'm going to talk about strictly just the the thing, because that's a little bit different in how they're actually tackling the how they're tackling that versus what I want to stick with just Captain America and how John Walker is being used in that regard. The other thing that they're really pointing out is that John Walker right now is struggling with the red tape that he needs to go through. You're seeing like this third episode really highlights the amount of red tape that he is tangled in. And probably what we're going to see him do, like he says, he just wants to do the job. But part of the job is doing what Steve Rogers had to do in the beginning days of him being Captain America, the fanfare.
And it's the exact reason why he didn't want to sign the Sokovia Accords. Mm-hmm. He didn't want to have to go through that red tape that this Captain America has to go through.
Right. So what we're probably going to see towards the ending of this is him just probably throwing off the red tape and just wanting to do what he wants to do in order to get the job done that he believes needs to get done. In the process of that, we're probably going to see him take on a completely different mantle of it. And what a different mantle of what he views is his Captain America. And we've already seen a little bit of that with the gun.
Yeah.
Captain America never used a gun.
Yeah, the only time he did was in the war.
Mm-hmm.
After that, he started just solely relying on the shield.
Right.
And he used that shield that defied physics.
Yeah, so many people are like, well, I'm so upset that he knew how to use the shield right off the bat. He didn't.
They show him training, and also he only throws straight. He doesn't do any trick shots.
He only throws straight. Found you. Anyways, he only, like, he doesn't really, like, he gets the mechanics of it, right? He knows that the shield will come back to him if he throws it, right? Because he's seen how Captain America has used it. But as other people have shown, Captain America likes his trick shots.
Yeah. And Steve also did a lot more power behind all of his throws to be able to do that. And that's perfectly highlighted by how Bucky catches the shield. When he was Winter
Go for it.
When he was Winter Soldier, he caught it with his metal arm. In the episode that we saw, he caught it with his hand, his human hand.
The other thing is John Walker's not Super Soldier.
Yeah.
So will we see him try to become a Super Soldier?
That's what a lot of theories I'm seeing are of, like, he wants that Super Soldier shield for himself.
To get that final push. And we know that it doesn't have, thanks to the third episode, we know that they don't have the same side effects, or we know that it doesn't require the same amount of equipment that Steve Rogers needed when he was becoming the Super Soldier.
It also doesn't bulk them up like it did with Steve, where you had scrawny Steve and then Captain America. Steve.
Yes. The other thing that I was kind of confused on is, remember Extremis?
Yes.
Whatever happened to them? You know, like, did they just decide that it was just gonna stay in what was that show called? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., because I know Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had to deal with it.
I guess it just kind of died out. Also, who knows what happened to it in those 5 years?
Oh, I forget sometimes it's the blimp thingy. Yeah. Yeah. And so just like to finally wrap it all up, because we got to come to the end of the episode here, just to kind of finally wrap it all up. I love that the person that finally like did off with the doctor who did it was Zemo, right? Like he's like, I'm sticking to my guns of getting rid of all the super soldiers, of anything that could create this world that I don't want. And he's still the one that kills the doctor.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that.
He's transparent about his wants, and he is single-minded in that of like, okay, we got our answers. Thank you. Goodbye.
Yep. Absolutely fantastic. So I feel that this guy, so the way that I felt about this new Captain America, I feel like he is trapped in the red tape, in that at some point he's also trapped in the ideology of what people think Captain America is. And that at some point he's going to hit a stage of of reality and be disenchantized by the whole thing. And when that hits,
no, keep going.
And when that hits, we're going to see him throw off, kind of in the same way that we saw Steve Rogers throw off everything and become his own version of what Captain America is. But whether that is a good version or whether that is a bad version is still left to be up in the air.
Yeah. It also feels in that John Walker feels he's entitled to the same respect and adoration that Steve had. So he's fighting through that because, seriously, do you know who I am? Yeah, you're not Captain. You're not Captain Rogers. You don't have that backing yet.
I can see that, yeah.
So
also, that was a really big, last thing on that was actually a really big tell. Steve Rogers would have held the conversation.
Yeah. He wouldn't have got mad
to actually ask the questions instead of having somebody else call over to have that conversation.
Yeah. So, like, he would have had, like, the translation because maybe he doesn't speak German, but he wouldn't have he wouldn't have escalated it so quickly.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I thought Steve Rogers could speak German.
I don't know if he can, but John Walker escalated quickly in that conversation.
Yeah.
Steve would have either left it to Natasha.
It's true. And Natasha would have fucking escalated the fuck out of that.
Yeah.
Also, did you think that the lady is going to be like the new Natasha, so to speak?
Sharon?
Sharon. They definitely set her up to be like the new, like, woman agent.
They kind of did, but at the same time, there's a trope that with Apple products, have you heard of this?
I don't think she was going to be evil.
Well, she doesn't have an Apple phone.
Yeah.
So for viewers, if you've never heard of this, and sorry if it spoils something for you, stop listening. Apple won't let anyone who is evil in a film or show or anything hold an Apple product.
Well, I mean, if you remember, Natasha started out bad and then she transitioned to good.
Well, Sharon started off good and now might be transitioning to bad. She is hiding something.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So we'll see where she goes. I would like that because she is very capable. You see that when she takes off on like 10 people. Calling for the guys, hey, hurry it up.
Yeah.
So she is hiding something. We'll see where she goes with that because I would like to see her not become evil.
Yeah.
So,
well, we'll go from there. We'll leave it there. Tell us in the comments what you guys feel like is going to happen with John Walker, how you feel about the whole thing about people taking things too seriously with the actors in their roles. Let us know how you feel about. Let us know if you have played Remnants of Ash, how you like that game, and tell us if you have decided to join the film festival. I know I put that. I think
Moment International Invitational Film Festival.
Yes, let us know if you decided to join in on that. And we will see you next time. And you know what to do.
Like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you're notified of all of our uploads. See you next week.
See you next
Bye.
time. Laters.
Excuse me.
Really?